Hey everybody, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. And we got Elon, we got Tom, and we've got Will here on for a live stream, 3 o'clock live stream, as we sort of give you the latest on what we're seeing out there right now. And, I think everybody has seen the snow. So as we talked about this event beginning with snow, we are sort of now finishing up that stage of the event. So we're starting the journey through the event. We've kind of crossed step one, which is the snow, and honestly, it kind of clears pretty easily. It was a pretty light, fluffy snow, so I've been out with my leaf blower and have been doing some work on my concrete before it turns to concrete. So, which is a possibility later, as of course we get expecting, of course, more sleet and freezing rain later on. So we are sort of past that snow threshold now. Many of us received about between 2 and 2.5 inches in Williamson County, and maybe a little bit more up there in Davidson County, where the snow hung on just a little bit longer. But 2.6 was the measurement at my house. Right there as the snow was ending and as the sleet began. So really nailed that forecast. They did a great job with that one there with the snow forecast. That was, at least down here where I am, that was right on. So the snow forecast did very well here in Williamson County, and then I believe so up in Davidson, where they were expecting just a little bit more because of that sleet line gradually migrating north. We think now you're looking at a radar picture that looks crazy, and it's probably one you're not used to seeing. This is correlation coefficient. We use this for multiple use cases. We use it to detect debris in a tornado situation. We use it for precip types to help us out a little bit. And so we've been looking for clues today on where the sleet line has been. And so it started down here for us down here in Murray County, and then crept up northward across State 40 into Franklin, up to Davidson County. Now we believe that sleet line, and if you just step outside, there's very little snow. It's mostly sleet now, and even just a little bit of liquid. That sleet line has now pushed up toward the Kentucky border. So that has passed us. We are now into the sleet phase. And maybe just a little bit of liquid. Tom, we were just talking a minute ago off camera here about even when precip rates slow down, might even get a little bit of liquid at this stage. Tom, how about that?
Yeah, and we'll see that. We noticed from quite a few of the high resolution models show there's going to be, over the next 6 to 8 hours, some breaks in the precipitation where the intensity drops off and maybe even stops a little bit. And when that happens, the setup, because there's still lift going on in the atmosphere and there's still moisture, that's conducive to create freezing drizzle. So we actually, when we get lift in clouds that are 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, that lift will still cause enough moisture to condense that it will form supercooled water droplets that will fall out as freezing drizzle. And that can be really slick. I certainly noticed that, some of that accumulating on the car when I went out a little while ago and looked at it. So it's not great to drive on, but the roads are the damage is pretty much already done for the roads. And with temperatures in the upper teens, we're just not seeing a lot. It's a slippery slush on the roads right now. So the freezing drizzle will just keep the roads in bad conditions along with the sleet.
Your Andrew's mic muted, but I will say I was out earlier today, and there are a number of roads that are plowed from Broadway all the way up to about I-40 in downtown Midtown area has been well.
Sounds
plowed.
Like you went to the Preds game.
I did catch the first period.
Why would you be down at Broadway this hour of the
day? Are they? I need to look at the score. And you distracted me. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The things that have been plowed so far, where you can see bare asphalt, that's what I'm most worried about for folks driving, because there's a little bit of give in snow, but those areas that have been plowed and swept clean, it's just going to be an absolute skating rink. And I'm really worried about, your back deck, worried about certainly the roads, walking down the sidewalk. That's the kind of frozen precipitation that can cause you to fall on and, break your leg, hurt your back, whatever the case may be. So be very careful if you're outside walking around with the freezing rain.
Yeah, so we do have a winter storm warning that continues for for us. We are under a winter storm warning, and I'm gonna start by just reading the text of that because it does encompass a lot of different things, and I think it's good of us to just kind of read the official text of what they're expecting. Winter storm warning remains in effect until 6 p.m. Sunday. Heavy mixed precipitation, additional snow and sleet accumulations up to 4 inches, and this is over a large area, not specifically Davidson Williamson, and ice accumulations between 2/10 and 1/2 of an inch, and that's over much of Middle Tennessee here until 6 p.m. Sunday. Power outages and tree damage are likely due to the ice, and travel could be nearly impossible, as Will's talking about. The roads just really it's going to be a while before they kind of get better here. If you must travel, keep an extra flashlight, food, and water in your vehicle in case of an emergency. The latest road conditions for the state you are calling from can be obtained by calling 511. So that's the official text there that was sent out about noon today. So, Tom, talk to us about the forecast here. What's changed since we last talked, if anything, and kind of what are we looking at over the next several hours into tonight and tomorrow morning?
I mean, not massive changes for a change. Honestly, we went through several days of big perturbations in the model runs and the expectations, and certainly we've zeroed in on a solution that seems most likely now. A big change is the likelihood of us getting above freezing in the eastern part of our area. Davidson, Williamson County is lower. The high resolution models are not bringing us to 31 or 32 degrees, keeping 28, 29, 30. So not great news in terms of the potential. I think the cold looks even stronger behind this system. So it's going there. I saw some questions in the chat. It's going to be below freezing all week, and potentially and likely, I would say, below zero on Monday night, Tuesday morning. So that's kind of why we're so concerned about this. It's the double whammy of a ice storm potential followed by the coldest weather we've seen in a while. Those two things together are really going to put a strain on our overall infrastructure, and it's why we're really concerned about the impacts to the public. So, the amount of moisture that's going to fall has been pretty steady. It looks like we're going to get another inch, maybe 1.25 inches of liquid precipitation that's going to fall as sleet and freezing rain predominantly. Maybe a little bit of snow on the back end. And it really looks like this wraps up tomorrow afternoon. I think everything's moving out pretty quickly tomorrow. And I think by this time tomorrow, precipitation more or less over, other than some maybe flurries or light snow. And we'll see where we are. It's potentially going to be a very impactful amount of ice that's going to fall this evening into tomorrow morning.
Tom, let me piggyback off what you're saying with the temperatures here with this graphic. This was put up by the Weather Service around lunchtime today. And one thing that you notice here is, and I know it can be a little hard to see, let me zoom in, but one thing that you see here is and this covers a few different cities, but just kind of take you get the idea with the lines. 32 degrees here is this red line. And notice by this graph, we ain't getting above freezing, it looks like, for most of the week, if not the entire week. So it's going to be close on Tuesday, but potentially this could be many, many days than we're used to below freezing for the entire day. So yeah, going to be a while before things really thaw out. Of course, the sunshine will help, even to some extent on cloudy days, depending on how thick the cloud cover is. The sun can do some work even then. But especially if we get some sunshine in here, that can help. And we really need to get the roads dry and where they're not wet when we go into the evening and overnight hours. So that's what we kind of hope for as we go through the next several days. But that graph is pretty telling of our temperatures. Tom, talk to the impacts a little bit of ice, and when are we expecting this to sort of transition to more of a steady liquid? And what kind of changes are we going to see out our windows when that happens?
I think one thing you'll notice is you'll stop hearing the sleet. So as I'm sitting here in my office, I can hear the sleet pinging against the windows. It's actually a comforting sound because I know it's not liquid water hitting. So you'll stop hearing the sleet hitting the roof and hitting the windows. And that looks like it's going to happen this evening, most likely. It could happen this afternoon, especially Williamson and the eastern parts of the area. most likely this evening, and then off and on freezing rain through the night into the morning tomorrow. The earlier it turns to freezing rain at your location, the worse the potential outcome is going to be, because you're just going to have more time for that ice to accrue. So I think something we all should be taking seriously and doing anything you can to prepare for the possibility of a longer term power outage at your location. Just be ready for that.
Yep, and that's the hope is we don't go down that road, but we may.
Yeah, it's
We
looking
may
really sketchy. Speaking of forecast, one thing we didn't talk about on the back end of that freezing rain, just a quick cruise through the grids, I see wind gusts to 18 possible. And so that's got me really worried. When we talk about preparedness for this kind of storm, it is wind-driven freezing rain, or the wind hitting things that have already been frozen, bringing those trees, power lines, tree limbs, et cetera, down. So, can't stress it enough. Make sure you've got some type of backup power source, some type of backup heating source, a safe place to go that doesn't involve driving, perhaps, because this could get pretty bad.
That's a great point, Will. Thanks for mentioning that. And
it is right there on Sunday, Tom. Sorry, not to get over you, but yeah, there's that potential gust of 20 miles an hour Sunday evening into Monday morning. That's right.
As that system pulls away, the winds will get a little lighter tonight as that little low comes up into our area. But as that pulls away tomorrow, the winds are really going to pick up as that swings away, and that'll be noticeable. And that could be it could be like I see questions about when the power outages are likely. It could happen anytime once the freezing rain, within a couple hours of the freezing rain beginning. Anytime tonight as ice slowly builds up on lines and trees and limbs. But once the precipitation stops, as Will just mentioned, not totally out of the woods, if we've gotten a half inch of ice, those winds going from 10, 12 miles an hour to 22 miles an hour, that could bring some additional lines and trees down. So you may not be out of the woods until the end of Sunday or even Sunday night. So it's something we really have to kind of bear down, get through this together.
Will, talk to us about preparations for this. So we covered a lot of this in our last video, but we'll have some new folks here. Kind of talk to us about preparations for this type of icing event that we really haven't seen around here in quite some time. Up on the plateau, they've had a couple of these events since we have, and but down here we don't get them that often. So talk to us about prep.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 things I want folks to prepare for. 1, potential power outages and travel impacts due to freezing rain. The second part is the dangerously cold temperatures. Temperatures around 0 can absolutely have an impact on the way water is delivered throughout the city, depending on where you live. And it's something to be concerned about. Our pipe's going to freeze, water's not available. Tom mentioned yesterday filling a bathtub. That's the easiest thing you can do. I want to also talk to folks about the backup heat source. There are a number of different things that you can do to generate heat. To check out ready.gov, Tennessee Emergency Management's page, 2 websites where you can, get information about how to make a kit, et cetera. I'm not going to dwell on that. I want you to be real careful with how generators are used. I heard stories from a follower that said there was a line outside Harbor Freight. They're out of generators. They're out of little battery banks, stuff like that. So they've sold a lot of generators. Please make sure you're using them safely. Make sure you're using space heaters safely. In terms of staying warm, absolutely extra blankets, things like that inside your home. Don't overstress your heating unit. Don't turn it up to 78 because it doesn't feel warm enough. I also want to make sure that folks are checking on those that may have different needs, right? Older folks, younger folks, folks that have trouble getting around, they might need some extra help we don't want them walking out their front door and, sliding down the sidewalk, right? We also don't want them to be too cold that they're injured, and nobody was checking on them. So take care of one another. Make sure that you're checking on those folks that are important to you. Make sure you don't burn your house down or carbon monoxide your family, but do take these things that we're talking about today seriously. This is every bit as impactful as a moderate risk severe weather day, right? Where we're talking about straight line winds or tornadoes knocking out power. We could see, very similar effects to that if we get, say, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch of ice.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Just pulled up the temperature graphic. This is the official forecast from the Weather Service for right there at the airport. So you're looking at a -2 Fahrenheit low. That would be Tuesday morning. And
but even 10 and 12, 9 degrees, that would in and of itself be a story that we'd cover, right?
And then on into Friday, still in the single digits for the nighttime lows, early morning lows there. So absolutely. What other questions we got, guys? I haven't checked in on those.
Let's talk about where the sleet line is. If we could maybe break that down and what's coming for perhaps northern Davidson County as opposed to what's been going on already in Spring Hill. And I wonder, Andrew, CC is a wonderful tool, but we also may want to look at P-type and reflectivity as well. I think it depicts it pretty well.
Yeah, so the sleet line right now is up in Robertson County, Sumner County, moving north. So that line that we had earlier, we were sending out on social some pictures, some screenshots of this line of sleet that was starting out down in Murray County, southern Williamson County, and we sort of walked it through. That has now pushed all the way through both of our counties and is now up near the Tennessee-Kentucky border. So the expectation is right now, of course, we'll look at radar and precipitation type, which is a sort of a moving target sometimes. But from kind of a pretty good guess here, there's probably snow in Kentucky and then sleet from really Portland and Springfield down to the south, including us. So, but yes, we can, let's pull up some, now this, I don't think this is accurate.
It's a little, it's lagging on the sleet
it's
line
lagging
there.
on that. I think the sleet line is further north.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Goodlettsville
but this does demonstrate the kind of layers that we're talking about
absolutely
and expecting.
It sure does. So yeah, exactly. So we're in kind of that sleet zone now. We think there's freezing rain that's down south of that. Software and this is sort of software specific. So just to kind of throw a word at this, precipitation type, it's an algorithm that every piece of software does differently. So if you use, radar scope is going to look differently than GR Earth, which is what we're using here, the Gibson Ridge products. Weather-wise is going to look different than Radar Omega. It's going to look different than, so everyone's kind of got a different way that it does it. And so it's a good guess, but we have a couple of extra tools where we can sort of dig in a little bit and get some more detail. But yeah, it's a good guess at where the sleet and freezing rain are. So yeah, the expectation is this line of snows pushing north, this line of sleet's pushing north, this line of freezing rain's pushing north, and we'll be coming over our area.
I'd be interested to see what kind of reports we're seeing. I haven't been in chat. Have there been reports from counties south of us about what they're experiencing?
Lawrence County's already had some power outages from freezing rain. So it's freezing rain over south and southeast parts of Middle Tennessee.
I'm looking here at some other, I'm going to go through here and look through the reports.
Yeah, it looks to me like somewhere Bedford, Rutherford County, south and east of that looks to be where it goes from sleet to freezing rain right now.
Yeah, so first power outage in Lawrence County was an hour ago.
Yeah.
And so we should, as this gets into more populated areas of Middle Tennessee, we may get additional reports of something just like that.
Yeah, and they were about that same time, they were reporting that folks in Murray County, including Spring Hill and rural northeastern Murray County, reporting freezing rain. Mm-hmm. So it does look like that that is headed our way. Okay, so that's it's consistent with the forecast. It doesn't surprise me that that's happening. It's about we were expecting that around 3 to 5 o'clock this afternoon that would kind of start transitioning over to liquid. It's one of those things where when it switches over to liquid, your instinct is, oh, good, it's not frozen anymore. That's not quite true. My thermometer outside says 19.6 in the backyard. Okay, so no, liquid's not good. That's gonna freeze on contact. So at 19.6 degrees, liquid's not a good thing. So what other questions we got, guys? I think we've kind of hit on most of this.
There was one weather nerd question I can answer.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Go back to the base reflectivity at OHX.
Okay.
That's CC.
I'm getting there.
Yep.
It's lagging. Hang on just a second. I accidentally switched sites. There we go.
So someone asked what that little slot of no radar return was there.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I saw a couple of people commenting on that. So if you can't, I don't know if you can do a split screen or switch over to velocity.
There you go.
So notice that it's right on the 0 line. So Doppler radar can only detect air motions towards the radar or away from the radar. So at some point, everything is the same direction. And that creates that gray 0 line, which looks like today, because of all the shifting winds, it looks like a giant S over Middle Tennessee.
Yep.
But the radar algorithms that pick precipitation can fail in that 0 line. It's the radar is not sure that it's actually precip, so it filters it out. So that's why that will show up occasionally when there's an active weather pattern like this. You see that little 0 line on the velocity corresponding to that no reflectivity on the radar on the left. I thought that's interesting.
Yeah, good question. Yeah. Let's also look at let's turn on some temperatures here. Let's look kind of what's going on at the surface. So 20 at BNA, 16 in Dixon, 21 at Smyrna, 23 in Murfreesboro, mid 20s down in Lewisburg, Columbia, all the way down here. And yeah, you can really see. So down here in Pullman, 36, 31 down there southwest of Huntsville at the airport in Huntsville. So kind of there's that 30 in Haleyville down there in Alabama. So 32 in Amory, Mississippi. So you can kind of see how the radar is depicting the regular rain down here and the freezing rain. You can sort of see the temperature gradient as you get down to Alabama, the 32 in Mississippi, 36 in Coleman, and 34 in Scottsboro. And then you move up and it's 27 at Fayetteville Airport and 25 in Lawrenceburg. So you can kind of see how this evolves. You've still got liquid falling there, but it's your temperatures are well below freezing. Let me see here if I can get. There's a question mark over Huntsville. They don't know what's falling there. Muscle Shoals, light freezing rain is the observation there. Light rain there, which is freezing rain, but so looks like it's liquid there in Northeast Mississippi.
But for right now, and really through the evening, the precipitation is going to be light to at best moderate, and in periods it's going to be not really falling much at all. It's really later tonight that the intensity is going to pick up. There could even be some thunder, especially south of Nashville. There could be a little bit of elevated thunderstorms with this. So once that happens, the precipitation rates are going to increase, and the temperatures are still going to be well below freezing.
Thunder sleet?
It could happen, or thunder freezing rain, definitely.
So the only time I've experienced that was the night after our daughter was born. We were in Fort Worth, Texas, and my wife and daughter were still up at the hospital in Fort Worth, and I was at home just south of town, and man, that was the most bizarre. And that's what they call an ice storm down there, is when it is sleeting like a thunderstorm and there's thunder and lightning. And so it was hitting the windows as sleet, and I'm telling you, man, it was one of the weirdest things. So I was like, man, I have no idea. This is just beyond me. But
when I was working in Corpus Christi, we had a 7-inch snowfall right after Hurricane Harvey in 2017, and we had an hour and a half of almost continuous thunder and lightning with the heavy snow. It was pretty cool, honestly. It was just big blue flashes all over the place and muffled thunder.
That's bizarre. Well, what other questions we got, guys? Let's see here.
I'm seeing a lot of comments and questions. Clearly, people are concerned about how to stay warm if they lose power. And I think we're all in that same boat. I don't have a generator at my house. We have a lot of blankets. We have a cat and we have a dog. We're going to get all of our blankets together. We're going to fill the bathtub up tonight, have pots and pans full of water. All of our phones are going to remain charged. Our pocket chargers, we're going to go ahead and make sure those are all charged up too, even though if power's out for a few days, you'll probably start to see cell phone service drop out. That happens. Those don't have permanent power sources either. Anything, and someone mentioned it in the chat, and once your house temperature, and it'll take a while, we're going to turn the temperature in the house up a little bit warmer than we normally do this evening, just because it's going to take longer if we lose power for the house to cool down. I think anything above 50 with blankets, you and your pets are fine. Anything below that, you have to think about where you're going to go and what you're going to do. So that it's not too early to think about what that looks like, whether you can
Exactly
safely get in your car and get out. I think everyone will be fine on Sunday. I think Sunday's not the big problem if you lose power. I think most of us will be warm enough Sunday and even Sunday night. If the power's out and it's still out on Monday, that's when you really have to start making some tough choices about how to keep yourself and your pets warm. So if that involves getting into your hopefully fully gassed up vehicle, driving somewhere, or
using it to keep warm.
Or using it to keep warm and making sure your exhaust system is clear so that you're not having carbon monoxide come back in the vehicle. With ice storms, sometimes it comes down to you've just got to figure out a way to survive for a couple of days. So we hope that doesn't happen. We don't want to make this too dire a situation. There's still a chance we come through this with more sleet than anything, and it's just not as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's a service to our community, and all of us need to pull together and understand that there's a risk. There's a risk that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. I think it would be malpractice for us to not talk about what this could be like. I saw somebody on Twitter, said something like, this was a fail. This is a blown forecast. We were talking about ice storms for since at least Wednesday. So now it's here. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure you've got a place to go if the power's out for a while.
I think hopefully one of the things that our service has done for the community is built a level of trust that we're not going to hype things or push for clicks or push for any of that. When it needs it, we need to elevate the threat so people can understand that we're facing something that we haven't really seen in a while. It's not a lock. It's not a done deal that it's going to be a major ice storm. But the potential and the probabilities are too high to treat it without the utmost respect at this point.
Elon, what you got coming out in the blog?
Got some more information on general timing stuff, when we expect things to fully transition over to freezing rain, how long that might last, when precip ends, and then pretty much going back over what we discussed with prolonged dangerous cold temperatures, impacts, and also just pretty much discouraging travel as well. The roads are going to be rough.
Good. Well, make sure y'all share that blog with friends and family. Make sure they know what's going on.
Yeah, we'll have that out after a while once Elon finishes writing that. Yeah, go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
Someone asked about why putting water in the bathtub, and my thought process. And I've been through ice storms in other parts of the country. There's no guarantee that water service will continue. So if you have a source of water to flush your toilets, that's a good thing. If you have a several day power outage and you're able to stay in your home, that water can be it's a big difference being able to flush your toilets when you're in your home for a few days. And in a pinch, it can be drinking water. Although we're going to use pots, pans, we have gallon jugs and other things we're going to fill up with water. We filled up with water. That'll be our drinking water source. I'm going to fill my bathtub with warm water. And the idea being there that it's going to provide a little bit of humidity and heat, that if we lose power, it's going to keep the house just a little bit warmer and higher humidity, which also keeps the temperature up just a little bit. So again, just little things that you can do that if it ends up not happening, you just pull the drain and the water goes away. It's no big deal. But if the worst case happens, you've got a source of water to meet some of your human needs over the next few days.
I saw a couple questions in the chat. One, will we be around if there is power outage? Yes. Thanks to our Patreon supporters, we've got some redundancies that allow us to keep going, even if we lose power or regular internet, etc. So don't worry about us. I also saw something come in about underground power lines, and that's something that I want to address. I feel comforted by the fact that underground power lines are what we have in my neighborhood. And every time I say that to somebody that knows what they're talking about, they say, yeah, but it could just, at some point, they come above ground and are running on poles alongside of a road somewhere. So even if you do have underground service lines in your neighborhood, you could still lose power somewhere else in the grid. And maybe it's not out for as long, but you still have interruption to that service. Somebody else, what are the odds of getting issued an ice storm warning? Tom, as a 30-year veteran of the Weather Service, would you like to talk a little bit about the thought process for a lead forecaster or an MIC that's thinking about pushing the button on an ice storm?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I think that there, on the one hand, I feel like the Weather Service believes that contained within this winter storm warning is a clear message that we're going to get ice accumulations that could cause power outages. And so I guess on one hand, I do appreciate that. But at some point, this event, which has been snow and sleet so far for our service area, is going to transition to ice. And I think it will behoove them when that happens and we begin to see ice accumulations, if they're still forecasting a 1/2 to 3/4 inch ice, the ice storm warning will activate people's phones, unlike a winter storm warning. So the ice storm warning, if that is issued, people will get that phone alert.
The same kind of alert they get for a tornado warning.
Yes, it's an unusual alert, probably something no one's ever seen before. And that might be the impetus for a few folks to take those last minute measures that they haven't taken, to ensure that if power goes out, they're going to be in this best shape as they can be for the next few days.
Yeah, excellent.
Cool.
I think we pretty much covered everything I see in the chat.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, cool.
What would cause us to live stream again?
Well, I think we're going to be watching for new details. I think I think we'll sort of, based on reports that are coming in, and of course we'll be watching power outages. We'll walk you through this. So I think if we feel like either tonight, tomorrow morning, that the storm has sort of taken another step, and we want to join with you and be with you, we'll do that, and we'll give you our thoughts on it and help you understand what's going on around us. So sometimes when we are just cooped up in the house and we're sitting around, it's just kind of good to all be together and to interact with other people. And so we'll jump on, and if anything, just do that and help y'all through it. So, all right, well, we'll take it to socials from here. Elon's blog will come out after a while, and we'll go from there. But otherwise, we'll just kind of hang out on social. Send us reports if you're starting to transition to freezing rain, if you're getting liquid falling from the sky. And as our friend David said, and as he just texted me a minute ago, another word for freezing rain, it's rain freezing. So it's a good way to think about it. It's just rain that's freezing when it hits the ground. So
on your way out, Andrew, can
Yeah.
you hit timing real quick?
Sure.
Changeover timing.
Yep. Hang on just a second here. Let me
And
pull.
while you're doing that, I know I put you on the spot.
Uh-huh.
Elon, there was another question that was asked in the chat that I don't think we've gotten to. Where do we stand on soup right now? Have you gone through your 2 cans?
I'm still holding on to them. We're so far so good.
And so what's happening in Stark Vegas? Are you getting ice?
Currently, the airport is reporting 32 degrees and it's raining. So I saw a report there was a trace of ice on campus, but I haven't looked outside in probably an hour, so
Okay, cool.
we could get a little bit.
Are all the little meteorology students running around looking for freezing rain?
Probably the group chat's going crazy, so that's when you know.
There you go.
Yeah, Andrew, if you're going to share a little bit of model data there, you'll see we're going to get a pretty good break in the action for this evening through midnight. Off and on, it'll be more off and on showery precipitation before it really comes back in overnight tonight. There'll be freezing drizzle during that time.
So yeah, what it's illustrating here around 4 o'clock, you still got that the purple is sleet. The reddish color is freezing rain. And again, it's doing its best. We're asking a lot of these computer models to try to really nail down very, very minute details up in the atmosphere. So it does its best here, and you just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. But that's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8. So it thinks we're going to get to freezing rain here in the next couple of hours, and then we could have some breaks easily, and then after midnight, we sort of look at the freezing rain continuing. That 32-degree line, not far off to our south and our southeast. But again, things are 19 to 20, 19, 20 degrees right now. So even if that 32-degree line gets to us, things are 20 degrees outside right now. So it's, the trees are going to have to warm up to 32. The power lines are going to have to warm up to 32 without sunshine. Objects out there are still going to be very cold, even if a 32-degree surface temperature gets up to us. So my opinion is we could still see freezing rain even if a 32-degree surface temperature gets up here to us. So that's not going to just end all of it magically. I don't think. I think it'll help, but I don't think that it would end everything. So again, even here at 8 a.m., it still has the 32-degree line just off to our southeast.
It really doesn't look like the 32 line is going to get into our area.
Yeah, it's going to be. It looks like it's going to stay right to our southeast.
And you can see there, you notice on the way the presentation is that it's the intensity of the precip's really going to pick up after midnight. So I think it's really late tonight, and then through that wind shift and increase tomorrow afternoon that Will pointed out earlier, that's going to be the biggest threat area for power outages. Could happen overnight tonight as the ice slowly accrues, but it really the biggest, and I've seen that question in the chat. It really is late tonight into tomorrow afternoon. That time period is the biggest threat zone for power.
I'm going to open a picture here that Elon sent about measuring ice. Tom, do you want to talk about this graphic a little bit? Somebody had asked this question about measuring ice on trees.
Yeah, if you can measure it on a flat surface, that's best. It's just the depth of the ice, and it's that. And you can see that's different than sleet and snow. That looks like an ice cube from your ice tray. That's free frozen rain. So there we have the half-inch measurement. If you're measuring on limbs, don't take into account icicles. Measure the amount of ice from the edge of the limb to the edge of the ice on one side. Jot that down, and then measure the thickness of the ice on the other side of the limb to the edge of the ice, and jot that down. Add them together, divide by 2, and that's your ice. So if you have an inch of ice on the left side of the limb and a half inch of ice on the right side of the limb, that's an inch and a half added together. Divide by 2, that's 3/4 of an inch of ice. So that's how we measure ice. It's much more accurate if you have a flat surface, like a flat metal surface or something you can catch all the ice on and measure it that way. But on a limb, it can be done. You just have to not account for icicles and not account for the limb itself when you measure the thickness.
Cool. All right, man. Thank you all so much for being with us, Tom. Thanks for your wisdom that you're providing here. I mean, it's invaluable to have this and to have you be able to explain some of this to us, because it's been a hot minute since we've been through something like this. So, Elon, thanks for working on the blog, man. We'll look forward to that. And Will is our reports guy. He's our go-to. I'm always fumbling around with all these reports, but he keeps all these things organized gets them over to the Weather Service, and he's got a great system to do that. So use hashtag TSpotter on X to send those reports in, and anything ice accretion, snow total measurements on hard surfaces away from buildings, all of that stuff. Send that over to Will using hashtag TSpotter. The Weather Service is going to be watching that as well, and we'll get those reports compiled. Hey, thanks everybody. We'll see y'all after a while.